They say history is written by the victors, but what about the ones who never made it into the story? No statues, no graves, not even a name. Just silence, a silence so deep it drowns generations. These are not just orphans of war. They're orphans of memory, orphans of a world that looked away. But silence is never empty. Every unspoken name is a story waiting to be told. Tonight, we listen to the forgotten, to the silent ones. Not because they didn't matter, but because we didn't remember. These were not just orphans of war. They were orphans of memory. Tonight, we listen to the silent ones, not because they didn't matter, but because we forgot they ever existed. Beneath the rubble of a forgotten orphanage, a single shoelace remains. It's stained with dirt, still tied, and nobody knows whose it was. It's stained with dirt, still tied, and nobody knows whose it was. Between war and survival, thousands disappeared, not from life, but from memory. Forgotten, not because they died, but because no one remembered they lived. They were called ghosts, not because they were gone, but because no record said they ever existed. In places like the killing fields, even newborns were denied the dignity of a name. A name is the beginning of identity. Without it, they became shadows. Their faces vanished from photos, and their names from memory. They weren't just forgotten by others, they were erased by time itself. Some walked miles, never to arrive anywhere. No one waited at the end. No one even knew they had left. Their steps faded, but echoes still remain. Forgotten feet once danced, laughed, then vanished without a trace. Their silence is not empty. It's filled with everything we never asked. Not all vanished. Some stayed in broken homes with unanswered questions. They waited by the door for someone who never returned. Some grew up, never knowing who they were waiting for. They were the lucky ones, people said, but they carried absence like a wound. Some losses live quietly, but their silence never really ends. Even in peace, the silence never left them. They returned to ruins and called them home. They rebuilt not with hope, but with memory. The war ended, but the question stayed. And every silence became a language of survival. They never spoke of it, but their eyes remembered everything. The world moved on, but their memories never did. Some found peace in repetition. Some held on to what little they could. And in silence, they kept those who were lost alive. Some were never named, but the world still carries their imprint. History forgot their names, but not their absence. They were not ghosts. They were just never recorded. Their stories weren't lost. They were never allowed to begin. But where their names should have been, echoes remain. Memory is resistance against the silence that buried them. To speak their names is to make them real again. Every gesture becomes a thread that ties them back to us. Not every monument is made of stone. In our remembering, they continue. Not in textbooks, not in headlines, but in hearts. Not carved in marble, but kept in memory. Even without names, they shape the world we live in. Some stories survive, not because they were told, but because someone refused to forget. And so they are not gone. Not truly. They live where we remember.